Radiant's turn to ban.
Game 1, a little one-sided there. OG just kind of dominating the entire game. T1 had an idea, didn't pull through. Maybe they forgot about the Tinker. I don't know. And you seem very convinced that it was super obvious.
I mean, to me, it feels like if you see Night Stalker in this patch, you have to think Tinker. You have to be aware of the option.
Okay.
And for me, I'm fairly convinced they just did not expect Topson to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious to insane. That's the thing. Is
he's got a very big brain.
Exactly. There's maybe 3 or 4 players who could have, luckily 2 of them are here at the casting desk, so I guide you through it, but not every player.
Wait, who's the last player?
Dyer's turn.
3 or 4.
Maybe Kuro.
Kuro, but he's not here at TI.
Exactly.
So
and maybe
that makes Aiden the smartest man at TI, perhaps.
Certainly.
I feel like Puppy would have seen it come.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's
the 4 of us: me, Kyle, Puppy, and.
That's true. I mean, that is the Mount Rushmore of Dota right there. Honestly, when I think about it, you know.
5 seconds.
Aiden, which one would you be? Which American president?
Know what Mount Rushmore
I know.
I know what Mount Rushmore is. I'd be George Washington.
Okay. Can you name any of the
I don't know any others.
Perfect. All right. I'm hoping T1. Like,
hell yeah.
I was setting this up, and I was like, give me, like, I was imagining these guys just 5-man brawling against each other.
Now, this is where I can shine. Hero is my sleeper pick for TI. Okay?
Kyle, they're not playing at mid.
It doesn't have to be mid. It's an offlaner or it's a support. It's one of the best shards. I love it as an offlane because you can buy literally anything. I vote Mage Slayer. You go Dragonlance, Mage Slayer, and you just rain down liquid fires and reduce everybody's magical damage. Unfortunately, this pick from OG is flawless. They love playing with the cleanse. Oracle sucks. LC, fantastic. This removes Root, Leech Seed, Ice Path, all of those things.
I'm so confused why they drafted double like heroes that are super affected by the cleanse mechanic of Legion Commander when they just got handled by Legion Commander.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but Treant has had a really high win rate today. Almost every single game that I've seen today specifically, Treant has looked really. It feels like it's hard to teamfight into, and I think T1 played it against VP.
And that was their 33-minute victory. So I think that their concept with this is pick something. They stacked it with the Spectre, which is because obviously dispersion damage is reductions.
Yeah.
And then you just take no damage because of all the stack and heal. Also a great laner. And I believe they also played, I think, off lane more often, which is safe. Kiro, I hope they end up in a lane against Monk. You kind of just have to dodge the LC, no matter what role this Jakiro. That's a very annoying lane. Just going to trade mana for his mana.
Yeah, so this is something I realized when I was playing a lot of Disrupt a while back in Legion Commander.
5 seconds remaining.
I can spend all my gold on mana. You can buy 12 mangoes,
and
you just keep spamming him, and he just has to keep purging himself. And then eventually, if he doesn't get to Soul Ring within the first couple of purges, then you have a pretty nice time in lane against them.
So I agree with you, but this is going to be No Tails hero.
And
that changes everything. Now he's just buying 12 mangoes back.
Exactly. So if they get that situation going, and this is the strength of Legion Commander over some hero like Oracle, right? You don't really see like Oracle being flexed. I think if anyone would, maybe Topson would play it mid, but I don't think he is going to. So this Legion Commander gives OG this really nice flexibility. He can run it on Seb. They can run it on No Tail. I could imagine them running it on Topson. It doesn't seem unlikely to me.
Well, it just checks a lot of boxes. You know, when we think about what goes into a draft, like just stuns and damage and tower push and yada, yada, yada. LC gives you 2 things that are very tough to find, which is hard BKB piercing lockdown and a defensive dispel that with the new shard also gives you the BKB mechanic, plus it's an attack speed steroid. So also a great laner. You're just covering all these bases with just this one pick. Plus, of course, being multi-role in the hands of OG is incredibly impactful. This is their TI drafting in a nutshell. Like, their opening picks, most cases, and it is here, both heroes can be played as supports or cores. This is the Enchantress Earthshaker of TI9.
I think this has been like every team that has done well in the early stages of the group have been really good about making sure that the pick flexible. And I think this is a consequence of the way the draft changed. Quarter. Second pick suddenly has 2 counter picks. That basically forces you as first pick to pick flexible heroes. Then I think people adapted that.
Now, during the break, we were actually talking a little bit, and you were talking about how a lot of the top tier teams, they have very open playstyles where they're able to do every single kind of strategy at a very high level. They can play slow, they can play super objective. T1, where would you rate them when it comes to playstyle versatility? Because I feel like I've seen the same kind of heroes, certainly the same heroes over and over again. And I feel like kind of the same strategies of a lot of team fight, but also scaling. Like, where do you rate T1 as have a decent amount of versatility? Where would you put that?
I think T1 is a little bit more one-track minded.
Yeah.
Example, where they will be very, very good at executing their style of draft. I think we saw it in like the VPC. That if you put them up against a team that both teams just want to, and you got to fight to win the game, they're going to be really, really good. They're going to be mechanically better than most teams here at playing those fights out. But I think a team like OG, what they've been really smart about during this event is just keep playing mismatched timings. If the enemy team is drafting something really, really slow, they'll play something very fast.
Yeah.
And
I was just going to say, I'm sure it's a lot like different MMA. If you have two brawlers, two guys that want to go up and beat up on each other, T1's going to thrive. They love that. OG, they're grapplers. They don't want to stand up against you. They're going to take you to the ground. You're not really able to play to your strengths. You're not hitting anybody. You're just trying to get out of the pin. In this case, T1, they do certainly have a reliance on the big team fighters. We saw that at the anime a lot on Magnus and Wyvern specifically. Now they're sticking to that, with a Tide support, a Doom offlane. They're just, with Phoenix, like 4 of their heroes are just huge ultimate team fight, and then a Medusa. OG, they have no intention of ever team fighting you. They have a massive advantage, or a couple heroes picked off already, just controlling vision. And this is probably my favorite hero to watch OG play, the Ember Spirit. Excellent against Jakiro Tree.
And now you have the Rubik for the instant disable. Now they have, if you look at their stuns, like almost all of these stuns, Storm cannot easily dodge them, or he has to keep them all in mind while he's playing the
seconds.
I've actually not loved Rubik so much in most games, but I do think, and I noticed this when I played it, that when you pick it as a late pick and a counter pick, so like for example Jakiro and the root is very easy to steal, so is the Ice Path. Even if you steal Dual Breath, I feel like it does so much damage.
It's so good.
Yeah, and you have the cast range to really effectively use. And the big mana pools. This
is the hero playing Jakiro. I think this. I think even more so than Earth. Kiro is hard countered by Rubik.
I don't know so much about it being countered. Like Jakiro still is Jakiro, but I think Rubik becomes a better hero when he's playing against Jakiro.
Yeah, like let me rephrase. I think it's the best hero to play against. Because even if you steal Macropyre with the damage increase, that is an absurd amount of DPS.
So I've played fair amount of Rubik. I played like roughly 1,000 games of it.
Really?
By far my most played hero. Yeah. And something that I always look for in looking for a good Rubik game, I want to make sure that I have a farming tool. I think that's why, like, for example, Earthshaker is good, but Fissure is not really a spell you want to farm with. You can't use it to push out waves. Jakiro here gives him a way to do that. Treant gives him a way to do that with the root. You don't really want to steal troll spells because you're going to end up turning into melee form.
Yeah.
And then, Storm's like, whatever. You can steal his pull, which is actually surprisingly not bad. When you get the extra cast range and you can pull people from forever. Pretty nice. So overall, it's a pretty good Rubik game. And I think the nice thing about it too is that he has a lot of frontline. A lot of heroes here want to go in. He's not really going to be a priority target, and he doesn't have to use his lift to initiate, which I think is a pretty good.
Time to ban.
It also is really nice when you have 3 going in.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you're going to be in a position as T1 where you have to use your spells to react. Like there's an Ember, a Monkey King, LC. Like reminds me of True Sight. That they're bouncing the trees, firing forward. So you're going to have to throw out these spells, and Rubik is going to casually just grab something high value.
Yeah, they're going to be overwhelmed with all the other stuff going on. So he will get good spells here. And Sox is actually a very good Rubik. I don't know if you guys have very, very good Rubik.
I think that's, you're talking about the fact that this Rubik has these heroes that are going to go in for him. So I feel like initiation is kind of important. And I've noticed this trend that is going on at TI right now, where we're seeing like Weavers run as 4 positions. We've seen like how heroes like Legion Commander are just kind of playing in front of the enemy. As you were saying, like you called it like No Tail was playing where the enemy kind of like wants to be. He just Monkey King 4 position, really great example of like this support that gives vision. I feel like OG have that vision advantage between first 2 picks. I'm pretty sure Monkey King is going to be core and Legion the support, but it could be the other way around.
It could
right?
be literally anything here. Like it could be a played by Thompson. Could have this Legion Rubik lane is really strong. It could be mid Ember, Monkey King 1 with a Legion 5. Like they have a lot of different options here. And they could run the Monkey 4. I mean, No-Tail also plays Rubik. Thompson plays Rubik mid if they want to. Like when I look at this draft, I'm like, if you couldn't put, because here you kind of gotta, what you gotta do as T1 is you gotta go by probability. Like based on the heroes that we have, what matchups do we think OG wants? And that's how you kind of figure out which hero is gonna go.
Radiant's
And
turn to pick.
in OG's position here, like they just have the option of picking pretty much whatever
Dyer's
based on what they want to do.
pick.
Oh, I love it. I've been waiting for somebody to pick Slark. It has all the things. Like I've always loved Slark Ember as a combination, just because you have so much in and out pressure and map control.
Yeah.
Have a cleanse, which I think is key. Same reason I've always loved Oracle Slark, because if you can just save him for that split second, you're now in a great position. Ultimate
5
off.
seconds
The shard is
remaining.
OP. Another reason. And you're against a troll. So those axes for mischance are dispellable.
Yeah.
Slark's going to be spamming Q. It's also incredible against the Treant. Hero, all of the spells of T1 are removable. It used to be Storm was incredible against Slark, but now the Pounce that leashes actually makes you more of an offensive threat to the hero.
Yeah, so you touched on the purge effect or the cleanse effect.
Supposedly I'm wrong, but I always think like it's a dispel.
Kyle, you are
Purge
never
is
wrong.
I mean,
Cleanse
cleanse isn't an actual term in Dota. It just happens to be a nice term
Okay,
that I find.
you're
But-
never wrong, Kyle. Don't listen to Twitch.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Choose your
Slark is
hero.
weak to getting initiated on, right? The whole trick is you catch him when he's not ready for it. And when you have a hero like Legion, you have a cleanse draft, that option is suddenly gone. You no longer want to initiate on him because see the Legion commander, the Slark is always going to get pushed. And I think this Venge again is like, it's a little bit of a weird last pick. It doesn't address the problems that they have. But I do think Vengeful Spirit's a strong hero. And it kind of has the Wraithing effect where it spawns again. And I would assume the illusion does not give stack. Hits it.
Correct.
So like if it's very small, it doesn't actually like gameplay wise doesn't really matter. But I think Venge is pretty cool.
It is hard save after all, but I was actually thinking maybe they'd go for something like a
Self-invoking.
Bloodseeker. Like
10
I feel
seconds.
like we have the same scenario as we did in the first game where
5
OG they
seconds
last pick the
remaining.
win condition and T1 has an answer. They go for the mag. Whereas this case you go for the Venge. Like this doesn't answer Slark.
I think this game they can fight though. Like if OG runs
Definitely.
at them, they have the ability to fight back. They have damage, they have spells that are usable to get kills. Like I think whilst killing Slark is gonna be killing the other 4 is not necessarily the case. They have a troll lane against Monkey King. See how that goes. It's Monkey Rubik against, I assume, oh actually never mind. Hero 4, right?
Well, specifically with these two,
Yeah.
they can play it either way.
Okay,
Like they're
okay, so they
very
swap the
comfortable
lanes
in being
around.
able to
I see.
swap lanes. So
I see.
which would you rather have the Jakiro as a ranged hero against Monkey King?
So
think
something
so.
OG can do that's really cool is they can put Legion Commander with the Monkey off lane, and then Slark in the safe lane where they have 2 purges, so Jakiro no longer has a good lane.
I think that's the key, and this is why I believe Hill is playing the LC here, because to Aiden's point earlier, as a core LC against this Jakiro spamming mangoes and harass you, at a point you like run out of mana. You're trading regen, which is not what you want to do as a core against a support. But as a 5 position, No-Tail is very content. Just, you trade better than Jakiro. You're going to run at him, you're going to spam Q, spam W, and you're core in the game. So I think wherever Jakiro goes, No-Tail in that.
Looking good.
I could see them laning it either way. Like Rubik Slark also feels a bit weird. And I generally think Slark, because of the way his hero works, he wants to run up and trade with you. Having some sort of sustain that allows you to use Essence Shift is quite important for his laning phase. So
And one that gives you extra attack speed too. That sounds
it's
pretty
not too
sick.
bad. Yeah, not too bad.
Point as well. It's
Yeah.
another LC. It's just such a great hero.
Specifically with the heroes being run right now,
Yeah.
Tiny, okay,
Makes
they're
a lot
gonna
of
do Slark, that's really good.
Yeah.
Sven has been popular right now. That's another one.
You
Did you happen to see our last series, Secret versus SG?
I caught bits and pieces.
Did you see the? That was the best Ogre Magi Fire Shield I've ever seen in my life.
No, I don't.
Because
know why.
I mean, have you experimented with,
Yeah,
with
I've played
Fire
a little
Shield?
bit of Ogre.
It doesn't really feel like that amazing, right?
I actually think it feels pretty good most of the time. Yeah.
All right. Well, my experience has
Yeah.
not been like amazing, but
Yeah.
they were specifically played up against Sven Io, Earthshaker Core, Chant Totem, and
Told you a
Mars.
storm was coming.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
God damn.
You're reducing a lot of damage.
It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
And now I just, like I always think that I love support experimentation.
Yeah. I think this whole Legion 5, right? It started with Puppy at Hamburg a couple of years back.
Yeah, that was a long time
And
ago.
I think it was a
It's
pretty
just a
interesting
number.
interview that they asked him, like, why are you playing 5? And he just answered, well, all the 5s are just bad. And
Yeah.
why not play a 4?
And we're underway.
And that, I think, opened up this idea of, like, running a lot more heroes.
I think, yeah, exactly. And you also just don't have to spend as much gold, right? Buy a sentry. Everything else can be spent on yourself. And
Yeah.
else, like, they're really, the support role has kind of changed to just farm creep. But it comes down to what's the best kit. Like, what gives my allies the most support
Yeah.
within a game? And LC just, EKB lockdown is really tough to come by. I also wanted to touch on OG's final bans. I thought were really don't like the Venge as much as perhaps the Darkseer or Enigma, which were banned out. Because T1, they didn't have that big AoE ultimate finisher, and that's also, of course, to cover the Slark
30
that's coming.
seconds
Just
to
Yeah.
An Enigma pick would have actually been real nice, even with already on your team.
Yes. I think it's very similar to how Rubik and Jakiro interact. It makes Rubik's game better, but it doesn't necessarily counter Enigma's game. Enigma still does what Enigma wants to do. So whether Rubik is there or not, it doesn't really change anything for that matter. For like whether you should pick it or you can't.
Now, for anybody who's tuning in and maybe doesn't watch a ton of Dota, can you guys break down very simply what are the strengths of T1's lineup and what are they looking for compared to OG?
Okay, so I think T1, in order to win this game, they need to do well in the lanes, and then they need to use the advantage they get in lanes, stop OG from running at them. Because OG is going to hit a timing similar to the last game, where T1 is trying to farm the Vengeful Ags, they're trying to get Storm's items, and they're trying to farm up the Troll. And they need to play kind of like response Dota. And when you end up in that position against OG, I think you generally will struggle. But if you can apply pressure to OG and force OG to fight on your terms, I think that's where they might struggle a bit in this particular game.
Especially a Storm who's ahead, like straight up take over the game. I like this start though. They're looking to try lane. I think this is a great answer to both an LC support and a Slark. Slark needs levels.
Yeah.
You want to trade. You can't do that in a 3-on-3. Just straight up spam the spells.
So they're trying to push in the first wave here to get lane control. If you look at 23 Savage, he's trying to drag the creeps up to connect to the next lane.
Perfect.
Which will make the Treant Protector all the more effective.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to cut off people, get a good Nature's Grasp in. And that just depends on Cuckoo having an okay time, which we saw, like, the Faith Beyond, they would do this all the time on LGD when they were running the offlane Venge. They would just kind of throw him to the wolves in the beginning.
Yeah. I think Slark is actually a pretty good hero against most tri-lanes though, especially tri-lanes that don't kill. Because you're going to get a lot of farm. Once you hit level 2 or 3, they're very hard to go on. So as long as you have sustain for the Slark, I think he's going to be able to get quite a lot of CS here in the bottom lane anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, they control the lane, but they've given up level 2. The one benefit of No-Tail as well, the Q provides easy ways of just to killing Archer.
Yeah.
Oh, and they forced the TP from Saksa, and now they just the hero back up top, but no lane control there either. Kind of an odd movement from T1, to be honest, but yeah,
I like it. I think it's good. I think that they're throwing off the laning phase. They're not letting it just play out the way OG wants it to. And I think they're making the game weird, which throws off timings, and it gives Storm space mid. And I think they want to play off of the fact that Storm beats Ember in the lane mid, and he's able to get control runes and apply pressure.
That was really cool, because when they did that rotation, it was also just perfectly timed for Whitemon to get a hard camp pull.
Yeah.
So he immediately gets creep equilibrium, which was what, Kyle, you said that was kind of a problem. Now they're going to put some pressure onto Seb, where he was probably wondering, where the hell is my creep wave? And he meets Whitemon, who's now in lane, and they're going to move No-Tail over.
Yep. Follows Jakiro.
Yeah, so now suddenly they have a Troll Treant against Slark Rubik, which is a good lane matchup for them. I think what T1 are doing right now is actually very, very intelligent. They're making OG like respond to the way they want to play the game. And now instead of OG applying pressure to them, they're dictating how this game goes.
It's such a cool idea, that the fact that they can... That starting off with an aggro tri-lane resulted in this. That basically OG, they knew they were going to respond in a certain way that they would be able to get an advantage.
I think they probably talked about this as soon as the draft ended. We go tri lane. If Rubik comes bottom, I go top. We pressure like this. This way we get like our mid laner to come online, and they have like it really feels like they're playing with an idea. And I always like seeing that when you see these teams, like for example we said OG, right? They have a lot of different strats, but if T1 feels like they know what they're doing, they might just be the stronger team.
Yeah, again, I was super excited for this matchup because I thought like these were going to be two titans of team fight just smashing against each other. Might be able to get that in this game too.
I think like we did our best to pretend like that last game was close in anybody's game, but realistically, once it was that 15-minute nighttime and OG had total control, like T1 just can't play Dota. This is a very different type of game, and I think we're going to see a much closer one.
Yeah, absolutely. In the first game, I didn't really understand their last pick either, but this time, now that I see the way they've set up their lanes, the way they're trying to approach the game, I think it makes sense to pick this Venge. Venge is like a pretty good hero for this type of playstyle, where they have 3 lanes that they can kill. They have initiation on all 3 lanes. You have Troll with the slow, you have Venge with the stun, and you have Storm with the pull. So they have the option of like making moves on all the lanes.
You know he's gonna go for the slight steal, right?
Oh,
oh that's
wow.
He's gonna go get the double bounty or the double
Beautiful
water rune. That is very smart by Carl. Let's see if he actually wins through this with the flame guard pulling him back in. He's gonna be able to take out the if he runs into the second remnant, it'll go away. Oh, we missed out on first blood as a result, but this fight is so fun.
Oh man, that was like a what's the Eastwood movie? The Standoff.
Sumail keeps on going. They actually trade supports, but Sumail has racked up some serious stats. He's going to be able to get the double kill in this lane. So T1 may have gotten the lanes that they thought they wanted, but ultimately lost that bottom one.
Oh, and he had 20 stick too, so he was just full HP flame. That was so cool. They just sat there for 3 seconds.
That was just like both of the players know exactly what's going to happen, and they're like trying to throw off each other's timings. That was beautifully played.
Yeah, and then the fight for top rune where Carl like, ah man, so good. If either player blinks, they probably get the kill, maybe straight up win the lane, but nobody did.
Bringing 23 Savage to the top lane. Looks like they no longer want to play out this bottom one with Sumail getting so big. They're going to try and run down Seb. Seb nicely positions himself to be able to get multiple stuns. They managed to hit him a couple times. He's still bleeding out on damage, but the dual breath didn't hit him, so they have to get a little bit more. Finally, they get the magic missile, and that'll finish him off.
That was just like he mischief dodged the auto attack. That you saw him start the animation of jumping into tree, but got hit just before. That was pretty.
That was
nice.
Extremely close. I genuinely thought he was going to get up.
I mean, Seb, still impressing. You know, one eye, boomer fingers, he still got it.
They had top 3 net worth there for a moment, so definitely feeling good about their laning phase.
Yeah, I think despite what T1 did in the early game, it seems like all the OG cores are managing quite fine, and I think these kills bottom really bumped Sumail up.
Oh, hey, Soxa. It's me, Carl. I've got a double damage rune. 3rd kill for T1.
Would have preferred if they let Carl grab it. I think Kook got a little... he just stop canceled the attack he had originally. But your trouble is that, you know, this Slark is having a free game. Now level 6, so he's effectively always on map. And Sumail is the win condition, right? That's the hero we're concerned about T1 finding an answer to.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean...
Oh, he's going to jump after him. Thompson, he's got that remnant left. The damage through was not enough, and Carl got the last hit there with the DD. Very nice. These two playing up against each other mid is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're both very, very important for their respective teams. I think T1 absolutely needs Carl to come online. And then I think they need to control the runes for him. This DD rune is what effectively gets them this kill mid, and whoever gets the 8-minute rune is going to have a pretty big advantage.
I want to point out something I think that is pretty cool. Remember when they were top lane, the troll TP top, they went for that kill and Seb got it. The Venge and the tree walked all the way to bottom lane to keep their TPs up. Yeah. So if OG tries to get aggressive, they can still respond.
Yeah, I think they learned from the first game, right? They want to be able to play pace. They want to be able to match whatever OG does.
Yeah. Still not dealing with Sumail, who currently has 4,000 net worth, when the second highest is still Thompson at 3. They're going to rotate into Stormshoot, though. Carl trying to look for a big win here in the top lane, and this pace is going to net them probably 2 kills here, as both the supports on OG will follow.
Yeah, this does, however, mean that Ember gets a free rune, so let's see what he can do with that response.
See, everybody's beelining for them. Top's gonna get controlled by OG. Of all the runes, man.
Comes the response move.
Carl, he's not afraid, even with Thompson here. He says, okay, probably don't have chains. Not really in much danger here. Thompson gonna make use of that arcane rune to make sure he's gonna survive here. Seb gonna receive a helping hand here, a bit of a purge, dealing with that Jakiro, which is gonna be a constant problem for him. Zephyr is gonna be run down by the Ember Spirit.
That's your best.
Knows the radius of this remnant so well. He's just dancing around it like it's a landmine. Gonna grab a quick stack. And the nice thing about this though for OG is that their carry is completely protected.
Has
There's
Sumail
really-
played against heroes during this entire series when he didn't want to?
Yeah, seriously.
I feel like he's just been hitting creeps. Yeah, the OG's doing a great job of moving attention away from their carry.
I mean, we've criticized him, right, for not using his minimap in this game.
He doesn't need to, that's why.
He cares what's happening.
Yeah,
if we go to
he-
player perspective, it's what Cap's looking at right here, bottom lane.
Yeah, if your team plays the way OG does, you genuinely don't need a minimap as a carry player.
Those are called inside jokes, guys. You gotta give context to the viewer. You say, we criticize them. You didn't say it on broadcast.
Oh.
What are you guys talking
Well,
about?
we've been joking about it the last couple of days that if Sumail had an option to hide minimap, he
To
would.
see more of his screen.
Exactly.
And that's a joke that stems from his time on Liquid.
On Liquid, yes.
Dyer's top
And that
tower
why
is
did that
under
happen?
attack.
You would have to ask your
Radiant's middle
best
tower
friend, William
can't
Lee.
handle this daily.
Well, yeah, I mean, you told me. He died once when he had vision.
That's
and you guys
probably
just
what happened.
memed him out of existence.
Probably, I don't remember how this started, but it was probably, he got ganked mid when there was a ward, and William was watching his player perspective thinking Sumail's gonna back off here, and then Sumail didn't, and then William was like, Sumail, use your minimap, it's good. And then we all started memeing him about
And then it's just set in stone. Carl's out of mana. Oh, well, actually, does have 6 magic wand charges, so he's kind of baiting him in a little bit for one last jump away, and that jump is far enough. Sumail trying to catch him midway through. 23 Savage right in the middle of all of these heroes. Sumail not too afraid of him, as after, he's going to be in swap back. 2 seconds, he doesn't actually have his ults. Oh no, Sumail. The T1 realized they made a grave error. Seb is going to be able to get off a good ultimate though, and in return, 23 Savage has overextended himself and receive tips from OG.
That is unfortunate. I think 23 said it best. Sumail, a bit of a blunder there. I think he was trying to like catch the storm mid-zip almost, but as you said, the mana was enough to get him out. And then Savage just kind of returns the favor.
I think the storm went too far. Like I didn't expect him to be able to jump that far, so he must have had a soul ring that Sumail didn't see coming.
Yeah. Between Soul Ring and I think it was 6 magic wand charges.
Yeah.
Whitemon almost dying there. Thompson still playing the edges, looking for that last light. They are going to be able to get a nice overgrowth, walking down with the ice path followed up. Thompson's dead. Sumail may just fall again if they can somehow get in front of him. They've got to swap. Sumail's going to show. There it is. Swap back. Stunned while the Dark Pact is down. And T1 holding their ground, holding the line around the Tier 1 tower, winning these fights.
And this goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? If you let T1 fight, if you let them play to their limits, you put them in a position where they're allowed to play Dota, they're a fantastic team. And they're showing that here. They're holding their own against OG.
Carl's balling out. He's 5-0-3. But like his score doesn't really reflect like how much he's like had to play Dota this game. Pretty much dueling Thompson since minute 2. Another kind of uncharacteristic mistake from Sumail. Yes, I am talking to you. I'm not quite sure why you keep going middle and pouncing into Tier 1 towers, my friend.
Yeah, he was having a totally free game. Don't you just kind of like chill out for a while?
I think the Storm thing, it would have been a big play, you know? He didn't expect the Soul Ring. He gets that. We're talking about how sick of a play that is.
That's true. That's true.
This is what Dota comes down to ultimately, like these small things. And I think right now, when it comes to the micro decision making, T1 looks slightly sharper. I think OG, when it came to the macro and like the decision making and understanding how to execute their drafts, that's really been their strengths.
Yeah.
And I think when OG's forced to play these micro decision making games, that's when they sometimes tend to suffer.
No, it's a really good point because like this game, there's no huge like strategical advantage or edge OG can lean on, they've just got to ball out. Like, they just got to play Dota and hope the best.
They're going to pop out, but at the same time, T1 did smoke over, so it's going to be a full-out team fight where Carl, he's going to target down the Rubik. First, they're going to be able to get on Thompson as well. No root just yet. Slide into a chain out. They're going to be able to get away on him. The core survived. The supports will die.
It's so hard to play into Jakiro tree. Like, you just see, you know, maybe in the past you had experience playing like World of Warcraft, you know, standing just slightly out of range of the fire or the roots. But in this case, if you catch it for a second, I think No-Tail was saving W there, but ends up just kind of standing in macro fire and dies to a root troll.
Sumail did get solo mid-tower as a result of that.
So this is what OG does so well, and I noticed them doing in all these games. Like, yeah, they lost a team fight, but they traded 1 for 2, and they only effectively lost their 2 supports. T1 burnt a lot of cooldowns, they brought their carry to the fight, and Sumail's just free farming still. Sumail's getting to choose when he wants to fight against heroes. So even though like he's died twice here, a little bit uncharacteristically, it's only been because of his own mistakes. It's not because T1's able to apply any pressure to his game. And it's pretty telling. It means that OG are heavily in control of the game. And I think if you ask the OG players right now, like, who's winning, they're like, we're dominating this game. Everything's going the way we are expecting it to.
Yeah, I mean, Thompson got away with this pretty greedy build as well, maxed out W and Flame. Like, Maelstrom already. Like, he's just able to farm now very efficiently.
Yep.
Dead.
Jump in, jump out.
Looking good.
Rune spawned bottom, ultimately DD for Thompson. So you're saying that like OG probably thinks that they feel really good about this game. Dota Plus actually has T1 up 66%. Do you agree with that? Are you saying like just OG thinks that this game is going fine, but it's not actually the pace, or what?
I think OG are happy because they're in control. They're setting the pace of the game, and I think that's what they want to be doing. And they know that as long as it's like the game is on them to mess up. They know that T1's going to respond to them. They just need to predict in what way they're going to do it and then react to what's happening. And I think as T1, you don't feel good because you're always playing the response game to the enemy team. You're not like, if you notice, trolls in every engagement. Every time we move our camera somewhere, there's a troll there. And he's being poked, he's being harassed. But Carl is balling out of control. So, I mean, Carl is feeling himself for sure. He's enjoying this thoroughly.
Now, you say they won't feel good reacting all the time. Is that just like a general rule, or do like some players or teams prefer reacting to the enemy making moves?
So I think you enjoy reacting when you're killing them and then you're getting something out of it. You know that you're progressing your game. You're getting closer to where you want to be. And I mean, obviously they have been, but I think like, if you think about all the small things that are going in their favor, all it takes is one of these fights not to, and then suddenly we're going to feel like Slark is unkillable and we can't do anything about him. So I think from OG's perspective, they feel like they can lose 10 fights, but as soon as they win 1, the map is going to open up for them.
Okay, so T1 has to parry perfectly every single time.
Exactly.
And we haven't seen them slip up yet.
No, exactly. I think what T1's doing is like perfect, but OG also are aware of that. Like, it needs to keep going this way for them.
Quickly kill T1. Or actually, they stole Macropire on Soxa. That's a big pickup.
Sumail, he went for the Dark Pact cooldown, and it's because he's just kind of the win condition. And like Aiden is saying, like his deaths are kind of on him. It's really tough for T1 to deal with Slark in this game, unless Troll or Storm just gets like an item ahead. And even then, it's still a little rough because you're playing with No-Tail in your back pocket. So I think that's part of the reason Carl is like skipping the Orchid here, because it's still not killing Slark. Even if he can't save himself, if No-Tail's just there, that entire item is now squandered, and I really like the Kai Sanj for that reason, just better fit here.
It feels like T1's strategy to win this game is they're going to try to play like a ball so Slark doesn't feel comfortable running into them, and then they're going to try to kill off the other heroes. They want to leave Slark for last and like deal with him once they get there.
And you said early on, like, the strategy for T1, win the lanes, which they didn't actually do, but the other thing you said was they need to stave off OG's aggression, and, like, during this crucial period of time where Venge, Storm, and Troll all need items. And we're about to reach the end of that, right? Cuckoo is about to get his Ag himself.
And that is huge. Like, yeah, Venge doesn't help too much with the Slark, but it is a great defensive save for the Pounce, but it's also really nice against Monkey King. You can get him out of the Wukong.
Absolutely.
We saw it used offensively to get Slark killed earlier.
And swapping Monkey out of, and
Aghanims doesn't give charges to the Slark. In addition, it's like 2 lives, right? So you can just be this frontliner that your team kind of needs, plus damage steroid for the Troll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, stolen Macropire. That's actually going to do enough damage to be able to quickly kill Carl. Great play from Soxa and Sumail, and a big pickup too. 599 bounty for Carl.
The sentry, was that just he didn't have vision of the Slark because he got close? Do they have the root?
Gonna go for it here. Cuckoo does have this. Oh, he actually doesn't have the Aghanims just yet. The overgrowth just off the mark there. Little awkward. 23 Savage not able to catch up to Thompson. It's just this trio that is forcing a pretty big response out of T1, but the Axe is now here for Cuckoo.
I'm loving just No Tail is just so good in these games. Like, he always seems to be right place, right time.
I think that's always been one of his biggest strengths as a player. I mean, his understanding of the map, I think, like, for as long as I can remember, I've always thought is like probably one of the best in the world. Even back when he used to play carry and used to play these Nagas and stuff, he always knew like where to be, where to cut, what waves to be on. And I think, yeah, he's utilizing it perfectly here, even as a support player.
Yeah, like if Thompson doesn't have No Tail with him there, he just kind of feeds and he's like, what's he doing, guys? But
yeah.
No Tail with the immediate cleanse of the initial stun. Like the root, we heard the root animation and it didn't seem like he spent any time rooted.
Yeah, so let me tell you a secret. I learned this when I was playing with Sumail. When you have these really over-aggressive player types, like Sumail when he's mid or Thompson, you kind of get it for free almost because you know they're going to run into trouble. Because you've seen it happen so many times that you can easily position yourself behind them. And if the enemy team doesn't respond to these players, they're just going to get so much out of the map.
Yeah.
Nice long jump from Carl is going to be able to catch. Oh no, Saksa caught him with the telekinesis and stole ball lane.
I really like that point because I've had the experience of the opposite kind of player, which is passive to a fault. And the trouble is when you play around them and they don't push their limits, you end up feeling completely useless because nothing's happening on the map.
Yeah.
When you play around these guys that know what to do, that get in there, that create action and chaos, suddenly you feel like you have a purpose.
I feel like occasionally our casts just serve as a sort of therapy for Kyle to be able to get over his former team experiences.
About to flounder.
I'm just here for the Dota cap. It's nice to watch good players at the best of their abilities.
Long jump over. Zeb gonna be caught, but immediately there is gonna be the purge coming out from No Tail, but they still can keep going. Duel going out, just trying to keep the storm in place, but it's gonna be a duel that is actually not won, just ever so barely. Turns around, nice stun, but mana, okay, they don't want to chase any longer, and it's probably for the...
Love Seb's filter. He had the Echo Saber queued up initially, but I think Mage Slayer, even as the offlaner, is just the right choice. It's something I love about OG is that they're always getting these items that are right for the game to help out the heroes that count. In this case, it'll be this Clark.
I'm interested to see how this Mage Slayer plays out.
Oh! Nice out of the magic missile. Thinking about pursuing here, especially with the Stormsphere being chased away there a bit. He can't come back to join this team fight perhaps, and they're going to be able to hit a nice two-man stun. Cuckoo may be the first to die, but remember, he's got that extra life. Throws out a magic missile, keeping Sumail back. T1 do a pretty good job. They do have BKB on the troll, so they might be turning this. BKB, there it goes. Who's he going to target? They swap back in No Tail, which is who they want to be able to gun for. They finally get off the ultimate. And Sumail, he doesn't have any mana. They lock him down, finish him off. Nicely played by T1. 50 seconds, he's dead for T1, turning on a dime. They're so good at kiting team fights back and re-engaging.
Yeah,
they're battlers, they're brawlers, and OG are playing to their strengths.
Yeah, I think this game they have a draft that can play the game.
Yes.
I think OG really managed to corner him in the last draft and put him in a position that they didn't feel like they knew what to do.
Yeah.
But this time around, they're playing perfectly. I think one of the key things for these team fights, Vengeful Spirit is one of the best heroes against saves because you can either swap the save hero out of position or you swap the hero that you're going on out of position so the save hero can't use as well.
It's deceptive because OG, they kill the Venge and they feel good, right? But Cuckoo is fine with that. Suddenly his spells are back up. A great setup. And then Whitemon gets the double ice path to ensure the kills. And 23 Savage, I was like, man, you're in some big trouble. But he had to save the ulti, because if he pops it while he's still in Wukong's, then the whole fight just takes place under Seb. And T1 are really just done for. But because he gets it off so much later, Sumail's now out of position with no ultimate. They have no Wukongs. They really have just no save left. And suddenly things turn out A-okay. But still anybody's game.
Absolutely. Anybody could do this still.
What do you think of the Aghanims on Sumail? Because I feel like that's an item for when you're snowballing hard. Like the double pounce is nice, but you know it doesn't feel like he's strong enough to just kind of get into the middle of T1 and battle at the moment.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think the idea is probably just to be able to get in, kill one, get out, or catch Storm, chase him down. Like just more disable, more mobility. I think it's always hard to question mobility. It's always so strong, especially in these types of games.
Is there any way it can answer like the swap? right? He pounces one, they get swapped out of it, but he could still keep going, right?
Yeah.
Radiant fortified their structure.
Question. The thing is, I just fear, like, this is the bench factor. Like, Troll's just a stronger carry. Even though Sumail's slightly ahead in the net worth, if you look at the itemization, just Falcon Blade, Maelstrom, BKB with a Venge behind you. Like, that Venge counts as that extra item. And that means, you know, Sumail won't really be able to trade too well against 23.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for OG, it's not about the carry killing the other carry. It's more about how can you kill out the supports.
Yeah.
I think both the supports of T1 have been doing a great job of knowing their limits and surviving on that sliver of health.
Oh, they managed to catch him, but there is going to be the defensive swap. 23 Savage is going in. He's going to try and deal with Thompson first, but a stolen swap from Sox is going to be able to get him out, but the Overgrowth catching Sumail again while the Dark Pack was down. Cuckoo dies, but immediately comes back into the Spirit, catching Seb, swapping him out of his own ultimate and keeping him in place. 23 Savage is keeping the rest at bay, and his team can deal with leftover behind Seb and go straight for Roche.
I mean, the supports, Insania just said it, like, they just straight up win that fight. Zephyr also has Holy Locket, Heal Talent, and Living Armor, so yeah, you can initiate on my Stormer Troll. I'm just gonna keep you alive. It's a ridiculous amount of heal and armor, and then there's an Ice Path on 3 heroes.
Yeah.
Like, Sumail doesn't do damage.
Something very interesting that Zephyr also did this game is he maxed out Leech Seed. I don't think I've ever seen that done before, but to be honest, I've been on the panel. It's been hard to see exact skill builds for people, but it makes a lot of sense to me when you see the game play out and how it plays out. If anything goes on the backline, he drops Leech Seed, they all get healed, they're playing like a ball, so it just gives all of them so much effective health.
Yep. 35% healing increase as well, so obviously it doesn't help you with your grasp, but it just ensures that you're going to have even more sustain for your allies.
Yep.
And they're really not able, I feel like you want to find Whitemon in the back on the Jakiro, but it's just not a possibility. And even if you were to do so, Cuckoo has the swap. The Venge really seems like it's paying off. Like, we questioned it, but it gives them that ability to ball up, to your point. Because you have all this sustain and a little bit of the damage amplification, so your carry just all of a sudden 2k ahead with an Aegis.
I think the difficult part of the game for T1 was really getting to this point, getting to the point where they can ball up. OG now, I think they're going to have to try to split them up. They're going to have to force these heroes out of position and force like multiple initiations at once. They have the tools to do it. They just got to be able to like get the Ember going on one target, get the Stark in on another, because if they're all balling down on the same hero, it's just going to be swap free.
And one nice pick off the BKB from Thompson is caught by the Overgrowth from Zephyr. Still has decent amount of magic immunity time, but is it going to be enough to be able to get him out of this hell as T1 surrounding him with so many heroes, and he's out of remnants. He is out of T2. Double kill for Carl.
Thompson, BKB into the tree. A really nice job by Zephyr. Another reason the hero seems very strong in T1's hands. They needed their own tool of BKB.
Yeah.
They've got it now. Sanjay Nash on the troll. It really feels like it's T1's game to lose now. 24-10. You got to be feeling yourselves. Still anybody's game in terms of like the gold differential, but you know, if anyone would agree with us, it's probably Seb, who hates the fact that you see net worth on the top of the screen, because that has nothing to do with who's winning in a game of Dota. It's about timing, it's about team compositions, and it does feel like Dota Plus has that same idea, because even less than 1,000 gold, 81% win rate, you got to figure T1 going to outscale.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've weathered the storm, so to speak. Like, OG needed to take control and take control early, and there's still absolutely hope, but they gotta play these fights smart.
23 Savage was very far forward, and OG looked to be able to potentially punish him. Not gonna be able to get the immediate duel. The swap from Sox is still stolen and still managed to get out No Tail. Pounds forward, Sumail does manage to get on top of the support, so there is gonna be Whitemon down, an important member of T1 to be able to stay alive in these team fights. The swap back in, managed to get the duel. 23 Savage gets the duel off. Sumail keeping him inside of the Wukong's command, where he will die there. OG finally managed to win a team fight, a big one at that, where they get 3, and Carl thought maybe they could turn around onto Seb, but Seb does have Sumail right behind him, so even if they do manage to kill this Monkey King, they may be losing both of them here as...
Oh no, 23 Savage, what have you done?
Lose together, win together, slay
Bad time for lag.
together, win together, slay together, slay
What?
together.
So,
Was
like
he
we talked
lagging
about,
30 seconds ago? He was farming tower by himself?
this is the thing, right? If they ever drop this ball, they don't have the positioning, they don't have the way they don't position their heroes the way they were doing earlier. This is what's going to happen. And OG are always on the prowl. I think they're going to take over the entire map now, try to clear out the vision, and then make sure that they are able to continue chasing the T1 heroes down once they spawn.
He's got 196 extra agility.
Damn.
Can't click the Monkey King. Don't click
Seb
me, then.
Chad. Please.
This is very unfortunate because that was a stolen Venge stun, and I think Carl might be in trouble now as well.
Yeah, they're going to be able to catch both of them. They do manage to finish off Seb, which was what the original trap was laid for, but it doesn't matter.
Dude, 53 stacks on Sumail now. He has 212 bonus agility.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost it's even more than the 196 I pointed out 10 seconds ago.
Focus on observing, Cap.
I'm leading this TriCast and doing observing. The least you could do is listen to me when I talk, Kyle.
I'm so focused there. The Dota is fantastic. Okay, so
It's
we already
true.
see the big mistake has just happened, which is somehow 23 Savage is dead alone in front of tower, then comes out immediately BKBs, which I think is actually a mistake here because suddenly he can't, like, he's backing with BKB, right? And to your point, Aiden, they now don't have the tools to properly position a fight. He has to use ulti. He's swapped in, wins the duel, but look at how this fight happens now, right? Everybody's zoned by the Wukongs, and he's just stuck inside of it. This is when Monkey King plays well into Troll. If you can force this, you're going to always be happy.
Yeah, it's just the Monkey King arena here just zones off anything, but they really need the Venge to be present when they take the fight.
Dude, Sumail, he still's got some stats going, and he's not slowing down whatsoever. These pounces are staying on top of these supports. They cannot seem to get away.
Become these.
Swap back in, no tail. Now he's in an awkward position. They're going to jump on a 23 Savage, turns around, bops a BKB before the stun can come in for the Monkey King, but again, he's going to retreat with that BKB. No, he's not. He's going to finish off Sumail. Turns around real quick, blows him up, does manage to get the swap back in, and 23 Savage heals up just a little bit. Can he finish off Seb before and stay alive? He does. Thompson's going to commit. Trying to finish off 23 Savage, does get that one. With the BKB, might be able to get two here. Zephyr, just one slide away from dying. Actually does die to Saksa. Chaining up two, TPing out, doesn't leave a remnant behind.
No mana for the pull. We were talking to No Tail the other day. He said Fog's line is the best because you can use it when you're winning or you're losing. It's the best flame or a way to keep your team motivated. As we once again hit a pause. Oh, but it's nice to take a break.
Yeah, this has been a very, very exciting game.
I like this.
Nice to get the pulse down a bit. Absolutely.
Why are you guys looking at me?
You're in charge.
Okay, analysts, please talk about this game state.
It's paused currently.
Oh.
Nothing much is happening.
That's a good observation. I didn't realize that.
You're welcome. That's
We have a
10K MMR
replay.
analysis
You
for you
can
right
you
there.
can break down this replay
Feel
that
free,
I
Kyle.
shouted over.
Well, No Tail does not have his W available. Sumail uses Dark Pact. Then you're going to see Sumail go right back in again. Dark Pact. However, he does not press his ultimate button and gets immediately silenced as it fades by Carl just before he tanked that stolen Venge stun. So, Sumail dies as No Tail had no ability to save his carry.
Sick timing from Carl. That was
Yes,
really good.
That was very good. And that's what makes playing into the Slark so difficult because it's like of all heroes that kind of demonstrate the frustrating nature of Dota, it's like, did you get the Orchid? Okay, well you've won the fight. Oh, did he hit Q or R just as you did? Well, you've lost the fight. And them's the breaks.
I think you gotta love to gamble if you want to play Slark. It's like
Yeah.
a little bit of it, right? It's the mind game of am I gonna Q or am I not? So we were having this discussion on the panel earlier about what if you showed mana bars for both sides? Like if you could see the enemy team's mana bars. A hero like Slark would instantly die, right? It would just ruin the concept of Dark Pact because you would just see the mana bar
Yeah.
move. So it was a hard no on my end.
Indeed. And I will say I would also love, because we both play... Oh, hang on.
Oh, hold up.
Not going to be able to get away. Maybe his spirit can get out. As they do have the Train Protector on the way. Yeah, they're kind of realizing they're not going to go for the spirit at all. In fact, if anything, they may be swapped back into Doom here. Seb, going to be silenced. Carl not fully committing to this one, though. They haven't seen the Slark just yet. And Cuckoo is going to try and start backing away. Thompson's looking for some of these heroes. Sumail pounces forward. He's going to go for Whitemon here. Starts stealing some of those stacks. Tries to stick on top of them and should be able to get that kill on the right-hand side. Thompson does catch the other support at the same time. That's going to be Zephyr. At the same time, Sumail has to be careful here, especially with the Cuckoo. His spirit is going to get burned out, but he could buy back if he wants to and rejoin this fight. as a full-out hero. No longer the case. No longer an option. T1 will retreat, giving this fight to OG.
The LC shard is so good because that BKB time gives you those extra seconds to almost always have Dark back.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought Sumail had overextended once again, but No-Tail this time was ready to save.
Yeah. And if you just think about this game, like, how many times did we just see T1 absolutely, like, outplay, play to their limit, do all these small things right? And despite that, like, the game is fairly even.
Yeah. Win probability back in OG's.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, like, this is the trouble. Like, you're playing against OG and you make a pretty big mistake up top. Give away that disadvantage that if you swap roles, maybe OG utilized to get a,
They're just so good at applying the pressure, right? They're always in your face, and you're always forced to play extremely sharp. And the second you stop, that's what happens.
Oh, we found it!
Does manage to get the pounds. The team is coming in, but it's too late. Carl's already dead. Double damage of Sumail made short work of Carl and OG. They could just keep going. Certainly are going to be looking for somebody here. Zephyr not spotted at C.
Carl has buyback though. Would not be surprised to see him use.
Yeah, considering how aggressively T1 is positioned, even though they're missing their mid laner, Seb. He sees this. He's spotting some heroes right now. Swap back into the ice path. That's a good hold, but he did not manage to get it in. Snare out. The troll did not get lucky, and Cuckoo will die for what he thought was going to be an Ember Spirit kill. Pounce through the Spirit. Doesn't actually latch on top of him. And that is going to be the Spirit being gone as well. I can't believe T1 tried that. It was a risk, and it was not a calculated one.
Yeah, this is looking really, really good for OG now. They're knocking at their door. Potentially forcing 2 buybacks here.
Bottom tower is about to flounder.
This is where things get a little spooky just because suddenly OG have this ability to play, like, T1 were kiting while they were controlling the area, but now suddenly OG's reach potential has doubled. They have the Aghanims on both cores. Seb is able to play trees.
Radiant's middle tower
And so it's just so hard now for the Jakiro tree to set up like we saw them do so effectively in the mid game, because suddenly Sumail's just gunning for them.
Yeah, OG's getting the initiation in all these last fights. They're getting the kind of jumps that they want. They want these fights when T1 is not balled up. T1 needs the ball where it feels impossible for OG to commit in. But it might be reaching that point where Sumail is now tanky enough to go in, knowing that he has No-Tail to purge him, and he can just apply all the pressure.
He has the Scotty as well, so Silver Edge to boot. Feeling very good. And it also feels like a lot of these fights are starting when he already has some stacks built up. It's definitely been helpful.
So you notice top here, he just goes in, pushes the wave a little bit, makes sure it's going in the right direction, and now he's already moving over to the next bit.
No-Tail's camping pit. I'm sure he's aware that this will be up momentarily, and there it is.
T1, they know this timing as well. They're sweeping over to the Roshan pit. They have no idea how low it is. Now they get some vision. Cuckoo spots that Sumail is trying to solo it. Both teams just going to hold their side of the high ground around Roshan.
Yeah, and this is like a classic standoff, right? Neither team really wants to fight into their team's vision. So now it's going to be like a little bit of a strategic game of who can get the smoke. You're trying to wait here to get a timing where the enemy team is not ready. So something that you might see teams do around this time is, if you look at the clock up top, it says 33:40, right? So you know at every complete minute the camps spawn. So you know that the heroes are going to be around the jungle at that timing when the camps are spawning. Because you know they're grouped up, there's not a lot of farm on the map available to them. So that's a potential timing for you to make a move. But it seems like OG, they recognize that they're just balled up. So they send Topson to the side lane, push it out, get more info. And then make a play based off that.
Oh, grabs the double damage and manages to get the pounce, and it's going to force out the swap from Cuckoo and probably get him killed as he's pulled back in by the telekinesis. His Spirit will manage to get out at least.
No buyback though.
Yeah.
However, who cares, right? You're still in the game. Sumail's being a lot more disciplined as well though with the ultimate usage. It's now preemptive, which I think is the key.
The Storm Spirit had to go all the way back to Fountain, so may not be here unless he wants to make a real gun at it and go for a long, long zip. Keeping the vision inside. Sumail's double damage is going to wear out. Storm's gonna start TPing onto the outpost. Thompson is in. Thompson's going straight up for those supports. Samael, not sure where he's going to, but 23 Savage is a little bit isolated here. Cuckoo's trying to keep pace to make sure he can swap back 23 Savage to get him away from Samael, while Seb is scaring back the rest of these heroes. Thompson's gonna be able to finish off Zephyr. That's gonna be first. 23 Savage looks at Zeb. Carl commits with the Aghanim Scepter, pulling them both in, but inside of that Monkey King ultimate, they don't feel great. Again, the stolen swaps coming out from Saksa is going to be able to keep his cores feeling good and feeling aggressive as the telekinesis toss back, chained up together. Toss, duel, going out, no tail. They turn around quickly, kill him, winner, and Carl gets away before Samael can hunt him down, but Samael doesn't kill. He's going to be able to go for the support and may still be able to catch Carl. Carl, no mana. Samael bounced on top of him. They catch him, 4 dead on the side of T1. And now Roshan is going to go the way of OG.
So this team fight, I don't see any other player than Topson doing this. But you notice how he just straight up into no vision, rolls in with the Ember. He knows that they're there. He's playing off of the fact that he knows that they're positioned there. That's how 95% of supports are going to position themselves when their cores are running into the Roche pit. And they get this team fight where there's like basically 4 fights going on at once. Topson's chasing supports. You have Sumail chasing 23 Savage, and you're forcing T1 to not be able to use that swap to just save whoever's getting initiated on. It's really, really smart gameplay coming out from OG, and they're doing a lot of this blind. They're not playing off of vision. They're playing off of where they think they're doing, what they think they're doing, and their own game sense.
Yep, they're just forcing skirmishes.
Yes.
They're ensuring that supports die, which they were unable to do earlier in the game. And I even love the way like they're itemizing with this knowledge of like how they're gonna play. Thompson is going refresher. Like he is playing for like these quick fights. It's all about survival for OG. Create chaos. T1, they need a more coordinated method to win fights. Like they need to kind of control. You saw even there, when Savage got kills, it was with like 3 or 4 heroes collapsing. You actually had targets, a big ice bath. Yeah. OG, they're just, you know, pre-ulting on Sumail, spamming dark packs. You got No Tail just kind of waiting in the wings to get off cleanses, and Thompson's gonna have 10 remnants. How do you hit a man who's invulnerable and flying through you?
And he probably gonna buy the shard too, right? So every kill he gets, that's another bonus remnant. I wouldn't be surprised to see it right after the refresher.
With very nice items for Sumail, protected Paladin Sword. I think that makes sense just because it boosts your regen time when you're off map.
It's just not really anything he needs to flicker. He has enough purge with the Dark Pact at this point that the lifesteal is just better for him.
Paladin Sword's doubly effective because he's also got the shard too,
Precisely.
right?
Point. Slark Shroud is so broken. Control will end up attacking no one if used.
Can actually save against the semi-black hole coming out from the Storm Spirit with the Aghanim Scepter.
So yeah, I think for OG it's going to be important to continue taking fights like that, where they can predict where their supports are going to be positioned and Topson can just roll in. He's continuously going to do this, I'm sure. He's just going to jump into the backlines. He knows he has like 5 different jumps, so eventually he'll find them. There are only so many spots that they could be hiding in.
Now with an Arcane Moon, he also
And the 25 talent, right?
Yeah, he talented totally for Searing Chains as well. So you're just going to see him zipping back and forth, spamming chains.
Here we go.
Cuckoo did still manage to get the swap, but 23 Savage can't hit him right now. Sumail, his ultimate was used, still has the Depth Shroud. They're going to turn around and start doing some damage with a full in onto Carl. They do something to Sumail, but he's going to be popping his BKB. 23 Savage responds in kind here. Cuckoo's going to fall, Spirit Form now.
Huge root.
They do manage to get the nice lockdown. Macro Fire going out. The Ice Path can actually lock down, but Thompson refresher. BKB still potentially up. Chase for Carl doesn't actually quite get him. Meanwhile, 23 Savage is just getting kited around and ripped apart by the rest of OG. Now with no carry, T1 very likely going to be dying here unless Carl could do something magical by himself, but he just doesn't have it in him. Doesn't have level 25 nor the shard. Wow. GG is called. OG will take the second game here against T1. T1 definitely putting up a much better fight, but you gotta think back to that moment. 23 Savage just way overconfident in his positioning, not respecting perhaps OG's aggression.
Yeah.